future, talk radio will actually educate, inspire, and make you think. The future is now. Topics and music that affect your life from Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.
She's passionate about telling stories of amazing women who are rocking the world and empowering women to live, love, and thrive. Here's your host, Katherine Gray.
Welcome to Live, Love, Thrive Women's Empowerment Hour, brought to you by, of course, 360karma.com. Thanks so much for tuning in. You know, next week we're going to have world-renowned speaker Mimi Donaldson, and also we're going to have the fabulous Dr. Marissa Pay, who is an on-air personality here on UBN as well as CNBC, and we're looking forward to having both of them. And if you don't want to miss any shows, well, then be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube or download us on your podcast on iTunes or iHeartRadio, Spreaker, wherever you listen to them. So you won't want to miss any of these stories. And I do tell you today, we have the most incredible women on, and their stories are just going to just amaze you and leave you on the edge of your seat. I know. I can't wait to share them with you. So first off, we're going to have Kimberly Moore of the Kimberly Moore Foundation. Her foundation has answered the letters to Santa that children have written. More than 40,000 of them she has actually answered. And we're going to talk about that. It's so beautiful, and I can't wait to share that with you. And then later in the show, we're going to have our productivity coach, Susan Rose. She's had her own incredible challenges that she's going to share with us, but going to share how those challenges have helped her to be an amazing coach to other people, and how it's really important to be productive and make sure that you make every day count. So looking forward to having Susan later in the show. But first up, please give a warm welcome to Kimberly Moore. Hi, Kimberly.
Hi, how are you?
Oh my gosh, I'm so honored and grateful to have you on today.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah,
so.
The work you're doing, I mean, I feel so lucky. I was talking to someone this morning about how I just get to meet the most remarkable women every day.
I bet you do.
Yeah, and every week we get to tell their stories, and you know, I feel like if we didn't have platforms like this, there'd be people out there like yourself that are doing these incredible things, and we might not know about it. And so I feel so fortunate to share it with our listeners today. So I do want to talk about the incredible work you're doing with answering these letters to Santa and how you got started with that. But first, I just want to mention that, you know, every time I have on two different people every week, it's always interesting sometimes to find their synergies. Would you believe both of my guests today, you're both born in Brooklyn.
No.
Yeah, yeah. And then both of you had car accidents in your life that really impacted and were life-changing to both of you in different capacities. And so I want to start with that, because a lot of people at home might relate to this, because a lot of people have had some situation in their life. And I know you were hit by a drunk driver, yes?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I was hit by a drunk driver in 2005.
Wow.
And it really impacted my life.
It sure did.
Yeah.
I mean, but actually in the long run, in a positive way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I had a near-death experience, and during the time when the guy had hit me, I literally, you know, blacked out and went to another place. And I don't know if I was dreaming or if I was still awake, but all I know is that I was really upset and I was really angry because there was so much more that I wanted to do. I've always been really goal-oriented, and there are so many places I wanted to travel and things that I wanted to accomplish. And I remember just being really angry and saying, you know, I'm too young to die, and you know, what is it all about? And
how old were you when that happened?
God, this was only like 12 years ago.
Okay.
So, you know.
Yeah, you were.
I was 15. Yeah. It was
You're
great.
not giving up, are you, Kim?
A sneaky one, a good one though. Yeah.
Let's suffice. You were young, and you had a whole life ahead of you, and you weren't ready to go.
No.
Yeah.
No, definitely not.
But you did share that you had this like epiphany after that happened.
Yeah, I did. I got to ask.
By the way, I forgot to ask, did it leave you physically in any pain or anything?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, actually. I live with chronic pain, every single day.
You know, I noticed that you never did share that with me. And I got to thinking about it because I know you said this was life-changing and all the beautiful work you're doing. And I think it's incredible you put all that focus on all the positive. And I was wondering if you were living with chronic pain.
Yeah, I live with chronic pain and also some neurological disorders. I have problems with my hands. I have some paralysis with my hands and also my legs, but a lot of people don't know that. Yeah, and every day it's definitely a challenge, right? But you know, but doing the work that I do has really helped me so much because it gets you to not really think about yourself and think about other people.
That's what giving does, doesn't it?
Yeah. So you no longer focus on your pain.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, your entire life is about giving back. I mean, so let's talk about that. So after the accident, you happened to be at the post office. I know you shared your video link when you were on The Doctors, which is a great show. And I actually was listening to it this morning on my morning walk and crying, just hearing your story. I mean, all the beauty that you're bringing to the world. It's I'm just glad that you survived that accident because what you're doing, you to me are like a 21st century Mother Teresa. You have touched the lives of so many thousands of people that anybody that couldn't look at your story and say, wow, one person can make such a difference. So let's tell about all that you're doing. So first of all, you're at the post office. You happen to see a letter on the floor to Santa. Yeah?
Yes. Yes, I found the letter of a young child by the name of Kevin who wrote a letter to Santa Claus. And it said, "Dear Santa Claus, can you please bring us some food? We're hungry." And
so you opened it and read it.
Yes, I opened it. I read it. And anyway, it turns out that all the letters go to the North Pole facility.
But wait a minute. So you went up to the clerk and you said, what happens to these letters to Santa?
Yeah, what happens to these letters to Santa?
And what
they
did
go
they
to
say?
the North Pole facility, which happens to be in South Central Los Angeles.
Oh.
And there they have a program where you actually can go and read the letters that children write to Santa Claus.
But otherwise, they're destroyed. They're shredded.
It's the shredding facility.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It just so happens to be called the North Pole facility.
Right.
And there, you know, volunteers can come in and actually put in flyers from Santa Claus that says, you know, be good to your parents, be good in school, love Santa Claus. And, you know, it's just a very generic flyer that they put in. And I actually went there and they said, "Oh, would you like to volunteer?" And I said, "Sure." So I started putting in the flyers and I thought, can't we just write our own letter? And then I thought, when I remember picking up the other letter, I said, wait a minute. What if I were to get every letter from this zip code? Because if it is a shredding facility, they're coming in from particular zip codes.
Yeah.
And I asked for every letter from that particular zip code. And the next letter was from a girl named Paula. She was 9 years old.
Right.
And she wrote a letter to Santa Claus saying, "Dear Santa Claus, I want to commit suicide.
Oh my gosh.
My name is Paula, 9 years old,
Oh my gosh.
because I'm being bullied at school. And just because I have holes in my clothes." The next one was from a little boy who wrote a letter to Santa Claus who was asking for a blanket because they sleep on the floor and it gets really cold at night.
So then all of a sudden it hit you, wait a minute, I could do something about this.
Yeah, because it's right around the corner.
Yeah.
This is literally, you know, no more than 15, 20 miles away from where we live. It's our own backyard. And here's a way that people can literally adopt letters and help, and it doesn't cost much.
Right.
A little kid was asking, you know, for a pair of sneakers. We had one kid, he wrote a letter asking for sneakers. He's been wearing the same sneakers from 3rd grade to 5th grade.
Wow.
And
this really is the land of the have and the have-nots, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we do need to help each other. Thank you for bridging that gap. So you started with these few letters, and then how did it blossom into?
Well, I took home about 2,000 letters.
Oh my gosh.
And I spent about a week reading, you know, day and night through every single letter and, you know, and prioritizing which letters that we were going to deliver to. I put a letter out, an email out to a lot of my friends, and literally it went all around the world, and it went into an email chain that got back to me with, like, you know, thousands of other people.
And, you know, it's funny because when we were first going to talk about the interview, I was thinking, you know, you were the founder of the Echelon Club, which a lot of people know is very, you know, high society type of people that belonged, everyone from Richard Branson to celebrities, to this club that you created for the social good, right? I mean, you wanted to get people of means together to do something for good, but then you kind of took it in a different direction with the Adopt-A-Letter and the Kimberly Moore Foundation,
Right.
because you felt like that wasn't really.
Yeah, I had the Echelon Club for a few years.
Yeah.
And I just felt like I
That
needed
wasn't
to do
really
something
doing
more.
it. Yeah, something more.
Yeah, something
something
more.
Kim Moore Foundation.
Yeah, so I took a leave of absence for the last 2 years just to really focus, on the foundation and all of our programs, because there
Did
is
you
so
have that
much
foundation
need.
before the accident or after?
No, it was
I mean,
after. much
the
after.
Echelon
was
Club
after.
was after. Everything was after. So
Everything was
you're
after.
thinking, how can I do good? You start with Echelon Club, and then you fall into finding these letters, right? So it was kind of a progression. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But, I think what really changed my life was really finding that one letter, that was written by a 6-year-old kid. I mean, there's like thousands of children. The post office gets about 5,000 letters a day from children who are writing letters to Santa Claus as a desperate cry for help. So imagine that. And they're going to the shredding facility.
So when you sent this out to your friends, it sounds like you have really wonderful friends, that they were interested and send it to their friends, who sent it to their friends. It ends up all over the world. And everybody wanted to adopt a letter. Yeah.
Yeah, within a couple weeks, we received, truckloads of gifts that were showing up at my door. I
my
put
gosh.
my address on there, right?
my
So
gosh.
every day I was receiving loads of stuff. This is the first time I've ever done anything like this. So my apartment, even my kitchen, my bathroom was like filled with toys, right? Because I had no place to stock them, to the point where I had to rent U-Haul trucks as storage just to be outside of my home. So,
So what was it like when you went to that very first home? Like, tell me that story.
well, I was nervous because I didn't know
How you'd be received.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone kept saying, well, how are you going to do this? I said, well, I don't know. I'm just going to knock on a door and I'm going to say hi. I'm going to tell them the truth. Hi, my name is Kimberly and I work for Santa Claus. And I just came to bring you a gift. And I thought I'd try it out. And at that point, I had gifts for 1,700 children. So
Oh my
I had
gosh.
about 2-3 months of homes that I was going to drive to. So I was really nervous. But the first time I knocked on the door, I asked for Kevin, and the mother said, who are you? And I said, oh, my name is Kimberly. I work for Santa Claus.
Oh
She
my
said, "You
God,
work
you're
for
going to make
Santa
me
Claus?"
cry.
And I said, yes. And she just came up to me, just gave me a hug.
Oh,
And I said, oh, I have some groceries. And,
oh my gosh.
and we stocked up their refrigerator. And
I
we
mean,
got to spend
anybody
a little
could have
time with
done
them.
this, but you did this. I mean, this is so amazing. I mean,
Yeah, it was an amazing experience just to be part of that.
Yeah.
That feeling. And so
And Oprah always says people just want to be seen and heard.
Right.
So I think that's the beautiful gift you give these children, not just the tangible gift, but that they're being seen and heard.
Right.
I think that's the gift. That's the gift.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the real gift. Yeah.
That's the real gift. But and so interesting that these children often are asking for things outside of themselves, either blankets for the family, food for all of them, not just for themselves, but for the
Jobs for
family.
their parents.
Jobs for their parents. You told me someone wanted the electric paid. One child that you showcased on the doctors, he wanted to give his gifts to another child that was partially blind. And I mean, these children are remarkable, aren't they?
No, they're incredible. And
Yeah.
because it's so remarkable, we created a Pay It Forward program where a lot of the kids can now become Hope Ambassadors of the foundations and be able to volunteer with us and go to surprise other families in need. And
love
we started
that.
out with 12 kids, and these 12 kids went and did it on their own and visit 5,000 families.
Oh my gosh.
So we created a chain reaction within the community.
I mean, can you
and-
imagine these kids, those 12 children, having that experience, how it impacted their entire life, who they're going to be in this world? Yeah, we need more of this. This is amazing.
Yeah.
So you've answered, over the last decade, more than 40,000 letters.
About 40,000, yeah.
I mean, when you started on the first one, you probably never dreamed that
No.
one day you'd be saying, yeah, I've answered 40,000 of these letters.
No, I didn't even
Unbelievable.
think I would do 100.
Oh my
And,
gosh,
I mean, it was a
right.
lot of work, but you know,
Yeah.
every day you were fueled. You know, you go to one house and then the next one, and you know, and you get so much love, right? And you and it's like
Yeah.
you're just like so excited, like every single day, and you just can't wait to bring happiness to another family.
And you know, I know you've shared with me, and I want people to, I know people that are listening are going to want to adopt a letter, including myself and my partner. We definitely would love to adopt a letter, and people go to adoptaletter.org and they can say, hey, I want to take one of the letters and
Yes.
fulfill the dream,
Yes.
whatever it is.
Yeah,
I
we usually stock them up around Christmas, and then throughout the year, when it's not Christmas, we adopt a letter of a country in need.
Right.
So we started the Adopt a Country program, and in 2015 we started out with El Salvador. Right?
Yes,
And
that was unbelievable. I know you helped put in learning centers there.
yeah, we
Yeah.
have 5 Kimberly Moore Foundation learning centers in 5 different cities in El Salvador.
So you thought it's not enough to fulfill 40,000 Santa letters. Now I'm going to make this worldwide and adopt a country. And so you started with El Salvador. Someone wrote you from there saying that it was a child, right, that needed a school because
Yeah.
theirs had burnt down. Right?
Yes. Well, no. El Salvador was a little different. El Salvador, a woman by the name of Lori Oppenheimer, she worked as an advisor to Congress, wrote a letter, and they had found over the course of a year 89 children in the trash that were eaten by like rats and cockroaches, and some of them were still alive and were taken into an orphanage. And
Oh, my
she wrote a letter
goodness.
asking for help for a country to help some of these kids and help bring education to these children. So I went out there in 2015 with my husband, and we, you know, visited all the children, and kids made a personal request and wrote a letter when they found out who I was. And one 9-year-old boy wrote a letter and read it to me in front of everyone. And I came back home and I went on a radio show just like this. And just through that one radio show, we were able to open up 5 learning centers.
Oh my
which is
gosh,
pretty
that is
amazing. Yeah.
unbelievable. And so your reason for going outside the country and helping, your idea of that was that the holidays are only once a year, so what are you going to do the rest of the year? So you thought, let me do something on
Well,
this
yeah,
grand
and-
scale.
Yes, well,
Yeah.
people have the Christmas giving spirit, right? Starting from like November until January.
Yeah.
And then after that, you know, I still knock on doors now and say, hi, I'm Kimberly, I work for Santa Claus, but it gets kind of awkward after,
Yeah.
you know, March, April, especially in the summer.
Right.
So, but I still do it. But
Yeah.
they don't care. You know,
Yeah.
they're just like, oh, she works for Santa Claus and she's here. And,
Yeah,
you
she
know,
rocks.
She's, yeah. So, but I wanted to do something more, and I thought, you know, it's also an educational experience for me as well to be able to go to a different country and learn about the different needs that are going on.
Absolutely.
And
now, you also are adopting this year, or this past year, Liberia. So you got a message from them. I guess is that where the school burnt down?
Yeah, that's where the
Yes,
school was
right. I knew there was
demolished.
that story there. Yeah.
I received a letter from a gentleman by the name of Ebenezer Norman. He runs a nonprofit called A New Dimension of Hope. And he wrote to me on behalf of his nonprofit because they spent 4 years building a school in Liberia. And the day of the grand opening, it was all over the newspaper in Africa. It was his biggest dream to be able to do this because he was fortunate enough to get an opportunity after the Civil War in Liberia to be able to go to school. And, you know, a few days after the school was built, it was demolished and it was burnt down. And it's a shame. And he was completely devastated and reached out to us for help and asking if we can help him build an educational program.
But there, you're not only doing the educational program, you're helping them get water and medical and education and all of that infrastructure that helps them be sustainable.
Yeah. I find it strange that a lot of people go there and build schools, but the kids don't have water and they don't have anything to eat.
Yeah.
And we got to spend time this fall, actually in September, in the village, and you know, and also live with locals without water, without anything. So you kind of get to understand, you know, firsthand how they live, and really get to talk to them. And I realized that the only way to really help them is to tailor programs according to their needs, not to what we think that they need.
Right.
And so I can't
So
build
you
a
go
school.
and listen to them.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's. I mean, this program is for them, right?
Sure,
and I
sure.
can't imagine a kid going to school and that doesn't have water, doesn't have food.
Right.
So, so there are programs that we can do. We can partner with nonprofit organizations that do have that infrastructure, and that can join us, to create an even bigger impact.
Right. So you join up with
village.
other entities.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so smart.
Yeah.
And people could get involved with you by either going to KimberlyMooreFoundation.org or adoptaletter.org.
Yes.
Either
Yes.
one.
Either one is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so is there something on your horizon for next year? Are you looking at other countries? Are they submitting?
No. Right now, Liberia it's a pretty big project.
Oh, so that's
project.
like full center on your plate right now.
This will take me about a year to complete. I mean,
Right.
we adopted a village of 3,000 people. We have
Wow.
over 1,000 children,
Wow.
and probably about 50% of them are able to go to school. But we're bringing in medical camps. We're doing community gardens, agricultural, farming, vocational training, and so there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot to do. So
And people need to understand, besides the water and the infrastructure, but education is power. It is the way out. It is the way to a different life.
Yes.
And it's just so important. What you're doing is so important. So you're doing these things simultaneously. You're doing the helping the country and these countries, and then also still doing Adopt a Letter for the children here.
Well, this is
in
my
the
home,
US.
right? LA
Yeah.
is my home, and I always say before you help other people, you got to clean your own backyard, right?
Yeah.
So you
Yes.
got to do
There's
that.
a lot of
So-
work to do here.
So there's
Yeah.
a lot of work in Los Angeles, and this keeps me busy. Pretty much 17 hours a day, and
And people might not understand when you run a nonprofit like this. This is not a profitable endeavor for you, and you shared that with me. And I know that what you get in reward of what you do is the greatest payment that you can get in this lifetime. I get that. I mean, I can see the joy it brings you, and I always say joy is the most important currency.
Right.
But I want people to know that you do need their volunteerism. You do need their funding. It can't happen with all that.
Right.
And so I really want people to get behind you and,
thank you.
help support this. I mean, I think whether their interest is in adopting a letter to help someone here in Los Angeles or to helping you build the village in Liberia, whatever speaks to them.
Right.
Everybody needs to be doing something to give back.
Right.
And it's so wonderful that you've built this infrastructure and foundation for them to be able to participate.
Right, and we
Yeah.
have so many programs. It's not just Adopt a Letter. I mean, we have, we're help saving music programs in schools that are being eliminated due to insufficient government funding, especially right now.
Right.
Right, they're cutting off a lot of the music and arts programs in the
Right.
schools. We also have a Better Minds for Reading program where we help put in little libraries in children's homes because they don't have any access to books, and that's right here in Los Angeles.
Wow.
We have mentorship programs, field trip programs, so that we can expose kids to,
Culture.
other cultures, right?
Yeah.
So, which is also, I think, really important. I mean, these are things that I needed to learn growing up as a kid, growing up in
Unbelievable.
Brooklyn, because we didn't
Yeah.
have all that exposure,
Right.
and my parents couldn't afford to, to put us in music school.
Right,
So,
right.
And that's something that I
So
always
this
wanted
comes
to
from
do.
your own background of feeling that you didn't have these things you want. Usually it is the challenges that we have in our own childhood or lifetime that we bring to the table to help others. And it sounds like that's the place that you're coming
Oh,
from.
100%, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
So
yeah.
if somebody would have knocked on my door, I mean, I
my
can't
gosh.
even imagine the joy that I would have felt as a kid.
Totally.
Because we didn't really have a lot. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's so beautiful that you're dedicating your life to giving back. And I think the message here is no matter what somebody's doing, no matter what their gift is, one of the most important things in our life is to make sure in some capacity we find something that we can give back to and pay it forward. So if somebody, has a great job in some sort of capacity, that hopefully they'll find it in their heart to align with a foundation like yours to give back and find that the joy is in the giving. As much as it means to those kids, it means as much, if not more, to the person giving. Isn't that true?
Right.
Don't
No,
you
absolutely.
find?
absolutely.
You get paid a millionfold, and thus the 360 karma that we talk about here every week.
Well, it adds more joy and meaning, to your life as well. It gives you
Absolutely.
purpose.
It's why we're here.
Yeah.
It's why we're here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so
absolutely.
much for what you're doing.
Well, thank you so much.
cheering you on, and I'm your biggest fan now. I'm so happy to have you on the show.
Thank you so
keep
much.
doing
I really
amazing
appreciate
work.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have, I don't have it, but I have a text give to a particular number that I actually can't remember.
Well, you know what? We'll
right
post
now,
it on Facebook.
Yeah.
People can go to our 360karma.com. We're going to put up a YouTube link of the show, and then
Okay.
they can get the text as well.
Okay, perfect. Yeah,
Okay,
that sounds
great.
great. Thank you so much.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I really appreciate it.
And we will be right back with Susan Rose.
The Live, Love, Thrive radio show is produced by 360karma.com. Are you a 360 Karma woman? If so, spread the word. Be sure to follow us on social media at 360 Karma Women on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Please like us and share us with family and friends. This is the year of the woman, and we are stronger together. The Live, Love, Thrive program is brought to you in part by Honda of downtown Los Angeles, supporting the equality and empowerment of women.
And we are back with productivity coach Susan Rose. Hi, Susan. How are you?
Hi, Catherine. So good to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, you bet. Well, I know that Kimberly was just on, Kimberly Moore Foundation.
Amazing.
And she did want me to mention that people can text to give to that foundation at 48421. So I did want to mention that. You can text to give at the Kimberly Moore Foundation at 48421. I was saying at the beginning of the show and to you earlier, I do get to meet the most amazing women every week. I have like the best job in the world.
You certainly do. You certainly do. Yeah.
And today is no different. So Susan, I was mentioning that both of my guests today are born in Brooklyn. So that would be you, right?
Yes.
And then both you and Kimberly both had a car accident in your life that was life-changing. And I wanted to share that. I know your son Ben was lost in a car accident. And it was not that long ago, very tragic, obviously, loss. And this was, I think it was, I know, publicly in the news a lot about these people drag racing. And
yes, it was about almost about a year and a half ago, it seems like. And yes, he was a music teacher going from one venue to another. And on a Friday afternoon, just the innocent victim. There were two cars that simply decided out of the blue to start drag racing down the street. One lost control of the car, flipped over the median, and Ben was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Right. I'm so sorry. I just wanted to start off with that saying I'm so sorry for your loss. And I know he was an amazing musician, and he touched so many children's lives, similar to what we were talking about with Kimberly today.
Yes.
Taught kids music, and just a brilliant soul. I mean, I know I attended some of your services, and just one thing you mentioned to me is how you were just so moved by how wonderful people are, and how supportive, and how caring, and how it just brought out the best in people around you when this tragic thing happens. And, you know, when we have a tragedy like that, that's when we need the people that we love around us more than ever, isn't it? I mean,
For sure.
And they either are there or they're not. And I know you were fortunate. People were there, and he was
so
greatly loved.
And so many people. And
just like Kimberly, I think you must have taken it, as most people do, when something tragic happens, and said, what can I take away from this that actually
has some meaning.
Has some meaning to their legacy. Mm-hmm. Because it is a legacy, isn't it?
Yes.
And so what would you say has impacted your life, and also how you maybe impact other people's lives now, having suffered that loss?
I think, first of all, it was obviously the most profound loss that I've ever occurred or has occurred in my family's life.
Yes.
You live in this period of suspended animation.
Mm-hmm.
You're stunned. You can't believe it.
Yeah, it's surreal.
It totally is surreal.
Yeah. I think anybody that's gone through a loss, no matter expected or unexpected,
yes.
it is always surreal.
It
yeah.
is not to be imagined, and of course, so many people, colleagues, friends, near and far.
Yeah.
Came up and offered all of us so much love and empathy. And I think that certainly what I took away from it was how much he was loved and how much he impacted young people. We received letters from students of his that wrote little notes to the family about how they were going to miss him, how he impacted them in their lives and inspired them. It was just so touching.
Isn't that the legacy we could all only hope for? Did we touch other people's lives? Did
yes.
we make a difference? And I think it's something all of our listeners need to be asking mm-hmm. themselves.
It's very important.
Am I living my purpose, right. and am I making a difference, and
mm-hmm.
am I doing what I was meant to do here?
Yes. And he was only 36.
Yeah.
We reflect back and realize how much he, at 36, how much he actually accomplished. He was a writer, he was a composer, an arranger,
wow.
and just an incredible musician.
Yeah,
and
that was his gift.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he shared it with all the right people.
He totally did.
The children and just people at large. And it's always, that's a great gift. I wish I had that gift.
At 36,
music.
I think he left more of a legacy than many people we know in their 70s,
right.
80s, 90s that just live a life.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he did it all organically.
Yes.
He did it out of the goodness of his heart.
Right. He was coming from a good place.
Yeah. Just doing what he loved.
Yeah. So that must have been inspiring to you.
It was. Yeah. It really hit home how important it is to do to find something that you're passionate about
mm-hmm.
and do it.
Yes.
And do it freely and openly.
Yeah. Now I know
important.
You coach people about how to live a productive, meaningful life mm-hmm. and career.
Right.
And your focus is in the area of real estate. And I think it's great that you're in that niche of real estate, because real estate can be a really tough dog-eat-dog business. That was an understatement, wasn't
understatement. It? Yes. I know that many of the listeners who have had a real estate transaction or are realtors themselves are going to really understand that.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, yes. I think most people do. It's it even has a kind of stigma to it, when people think of a real estate or any type of sales. But the bottom line is that real estate people are people that want to, for the most part, genuinely help people
Absolutely.
find a home or a place that is somewhere they can thrive and live and enjoy their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And so
mm-hmm.
it really is an important job that people have. And
it really is. And it's when you think about it, it's where people spend their largest amount of money.
And time.
And time.
I was thinking
yes.
and time.
And time.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
So
where,
they do.
Where do we
agents,
eat, live, sleep, spend our days?
and
in
build
our home?
memories and build memories.
Absolutely.
Our castle.
Right. So it is so important that people in that profession ground themselves and come from the right place.
Yes.
And I think that you're good at coaching people in that respect as to why they're doing it, how they're doing it, and how they can make a difference being in that profession.
I try to focus people on finding and creating or getting clarity around their purpose. And that's one aspect of it. The second aspect of it is taking the correct, I call it aligned actions, to make sure that you are able to fulfill on your purpose. And those actions have to be aligned. They have to be aligned with that purpose, because oftentimes we spend so much time and energy on things that are really not essential.
Right. I was just reading that in a book this morning. Brenda Bouchard has a book about that, and it's how we let our day get run away with menial stuff and putting out fires and getting pulled in other people's agenda. You know, I had just heard that, you know, if you get up in the morning and meditate and exercise and spend that hour grounding yourself, it actually impacts your whole day. And if you don't look at your phone for the first hour, which I know is hard for someone in real estate, that you won't get hijacked by other people's agenda. So if you ground yourself, have an actual prioritized list of what you need to accomplish to moving yourself forward in the way that you need to be. Then take a chunk of your time during the day to decide, this is when I'm going to answer other people's emails and address their agendas. But take care of your own agenda first if you're going to be productive. So supposedly, the way it works is if you do that hour in the morning.
We usually call it a power hour.
Power hour.
Love it.
Okay.
Yep.
Then you're 30% more productive, they found, than if you get up in the morning and just look at emails and get hijacked by Facebook or emails or whatever. So that's some good information for people, our listeners. It's
very good information. I try to counsel people to do their most important activities before noon.
I love that.
And for most people who are in any kind of business, real estate, any kind of business, it really comes down to lead generation and lead follow-up. Because you have to find business, you have to nurture the business, you then set appointments to complete the business.
Right.
And if you can get all of that done at least before 12 o'clock noon, then you have the whole rest of the day for the distractions, for the emergencies, and for all of the things that
do come up.
That do come up and you have to take care of.
Right. Right. That's great advice.
And those are the aligned actions that I was talking about.
And, you know, when you talk about lead generation, I like to even think of it as, you know, authentic networking is what I call it.
That's excellent, yes.
Like, isn't it great to just go out and meet fabulous people and network with them and see who you can help?
Totally.
With whatever it is you do, whether it's real estate or whatever it is, and just have the opportunity to meet awesome people and see, how can I help that person? Is it that I have something that could help them, or do I know someone that has something that could help them?
Exactly.
And that's what makes, I think, life more enjoyable, to look at it from that perspective than what can I go out and get from somebody?
Right.
What can I go out and give to somebody?
Precisely. And I think that's why I usually start off with kind of get clear on your clarity of purpose. What is this? What are you doing this for? It's not, for most people, it is not about making the money. It's about living a great quality life.
Right.
And how do you
helping other people do the same.
And therefore helping other people do the same thing.
Right, right. I agree.
Yeah.
And then the other thing you said it was key was follow-up. I don't know about anybody else in LA, but I feel like people are really not good on that follow-up thing. That's something everybody's got to work on.
I don't
it's
think
like,
that's
hey,
just
I'll call you. We're going to have lunch. And,
I'll have my people call your people.
Yeah,
right.
You never hear from them.
Exactly.
I know it's something I always used to. I was in cable television advertising, and I used to pride myself in, I would get back to the people, and they'd be like, "Oh my God, you got right back to me," and I'd be like, "Yeah, wasn't I supposed to?"
What a surprise!
Yeah, I didn't even know any differently. I thought I was supposed to get back to people, so I just did. But I didn't realize that 80% of the people don't get back to people. I never knew that.
And it's so funny because so many people...
Until it happened to me. Nobody gets back to me.
And so many people say to me, but, Susan, I'm so afraid I don't want people to think that I'm needing the work, or I don't want to be too aggressive. I don't want to be in their face.
Now it sounds like people dating where they don't call for 3 days. or.
and then I say, but, you have to understand, by your not following up, they could reframe the whole conversation in their mind that they don't like me.
Right.
I'm not valid enough for them to want to do business with me. Mm-hmm. So,
I think it's looking at, so the perspective is they're saying, I don't want to bother this person, instead of thinking, I have something this person really needs and wants.
Absolutely.
Let me help them with it.
And I'm the solution to
the solution.
Your problem. And it's not even a problem, but to your goals and objectives.
Right.
I have the tools. I have the resources.
Right.
The ethics and the competency.
Right.
To deliver that.
Right. And this information is good for any business. It doesn't, real estate, you could be selling widgets. If you have somebody that needs your widget, you're doing them a favor, because you're helping them.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
So tell me something. So if we look back in your background, you had shared with me that your family moved around a lot. And it was that moving around and having to constantly make friends and start over and everything that gave you that resiliency that you have today, that you share with your clients. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that ultimately helped me through the tragedy,
of course,
with Ben.
Right.
Who knew that it was all meant to be a process for the final blow, so to speak.
I always feel that way, and I've said it many times, that our life feels like a puzzle. Mm-hmm. And all these different things you do in your life all come together at some point that to help you with the grand big thing that you were meant to do.
Yes.
So as you get
older, challenge that you have to overcome.
Right.
Yeah,
and the
exactly.
older you get, the more you say, oh, that's why this happened. Oh, this is why I did this. Mm-hmm. Oh, this is why I met that person. And then it all comes together. And eventually we all figure out why we're here, what we're meant to be doing, and how we can do it better. Right?
Very well said.
Yeah.
Very well
said. So you've
said.
been doing this coaching for how long?
I've been in business about 10 years now for myself and doing specifically what I'm doing. But I've always had, I've always been coached or had a mentor.
Do you think everybody needs a coach? Because I think
absolutely.
I think they do. It's a sounding board of somebody not. This is the way I feel about it. A sounding board of somebody who's not in your exact inner circle, so you
can have the objectivity.
The objectivity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do think someone objective can see things differently than someone really close to you, or of course that you can see yourself. We can't always see all sides of it.
Right.
Yeah.
And a good coach will not just tell you what to do. That's more of being a consultant. Mm-hmm. But a really good coach will
help you figure it out.
Help you figure out. It's really all about asking deep, probing questions that oftentimes are not there to be answered this minute.
Right, but more to plant a seed.
To plant a seed and to be thinking about.
Right.
And then, of course, you can put the consulting hat on and say, so my suggestion would be, you could try this, this, and this. And then, of course, having had, I'm embarrassed to say, over 50 years of business and sales experience.
Wow, I can't believe you started at 5.
I know. And in fact, I lied. I think I told you this. I lied when I was 15 to get my first job, I had to be 16.
Oh, right. I remember
So
you saying that.
all of a sudden, I'm 16.
Yeah.
But I wanted to work.
You wanted to work.
I just had this work ethic.
And you shared with me that kind of
Yeah.
came from the fact that here was your mom, a college-educated woman, but back in those days, women
Yeah.
would put their hopes and dreams and goals on the side
I know.
and raise the children, and nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But and not live their dreams.
Right.
And you saw that in your mom.
In my mom, yeah.
And you said, that's not going to be me.
Yes, you know, it seems like when I look back, a lot of the lessons that I learned, in addition to having 3 incredible mentors, I learned a lot by observing and watching from a perspective of what I wasn't going to do, as opposed to who I wanted to emulate.
You know, it seems that way with people and their parents. They either look at the parents and say, I want to be just like them.
Right.
Or they say, I want to be the complete
That's
opposite.
not me. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I think I had traits in mind that some of them I wanted to emulate,
Sure.
and some of them I'm like, no.
exactly.
Yeah, and it makes us who
Exactly.
we are individually. You know, we're all our own person, but we are definitely impacted by the environment we grow up in. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So were you close to your mom and dad, or closer to one than the other?
I'd say I was closer to my mom. She was truly the more heartfelt, emotional person. My dad was a PhD mathematician.
Right.
So you can imagine he was very logical, very left brain.
Yeah.
I think together they were very complementary because she was the right brain. They were both highly creative. My dad was very restless, which is
Thus
why
to
we
keep
ended up
moving.
moving. Yes, he took many jobs. People thought I was in the Army, but no. But she was a great mom. You know, she
Yeah.
did in the 50s the mom thing.
Yeah.
And then when we got into high school, she got her real estate license and really had a very crowning moment for herself. She was very proud of the fact that she sold the first African American family a home in our neighborhood. And
Breaking all barriers, huh?
yeah.
Yeah. So she was very
So she was
leading edge in her own
avant-garde.
way, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then at 60, she was a UCLA secretary for
that's
one of the
awesome.
professors there.
So she got to fulfill some things later in life.
At 60, she learned word perfect.
Oh my gosh.
Can you
That's
imagine?
impressive.
Yeah.
I'm always impressed with people today, even in their 80s and 90s, who are
Yes.
using the internet and Facebook and computers. I am really impressed by that. I've had some guests on that
I
are
am too.
just very inspirational to me.
Exactly.
Because I want to be rocking and rolling at 80s and 90s. And
Well, and that just goes to show you, you're only limited by your thoughts
Absolutely.
and your imagination.
Absolutely.
It's all about desire and passion, and having desire and passion for life,
Yeah.
and for constantly pushing yourself forward, being uncomfortable.
And that's the truth, isn't
Being
it? Like every
uncomfortable.
day, the goal is not to be in a comfort zone. The goal is to push yourself a little bit, to be a little fearful, and walk through it anyway. And it's what
Exactly.
keeps life so exciting, is to keep pushing the envelope, keep trying something new, something
Yeah.
different, something that everybody says that can't be done. You know, what's more exciting than
Right.
that?
Right.
People tell me I'm crazy every day. I said, I'm going to write a book and, do a talk show
And why not?
and create a conference.
And why not?
They're like, yeah, sure you are.
I think that
I'm like,
actually,
no, I am.
I've probably had in the last 15 years my biggest burst of creativity and true growth.
I love that. So later in life. So
later in
Yeah.
life.
I think maybe, I don't know. Maybe we get more fearless as we get older? Because
I think we do.
Because
I think
we know
do.
we only have so much time left, and we want to make it really count. Something like that. I mean, that's
I
what
think that was
feel.
one of the big ahas that I had, or lessons that I've learned in the last year and a half since since Benny died, and that is, you really only get one shot, and every single day is precious. I learned a greater depth of empathy and compassion. I think I've always been a great listener, but I think now I listen less through the head, but more through the heart. What is it? What is it that's really trying to be expressed here?
Isn't that wonderful that you're able? It makes you a better coach.
Certainly, yes, and a better friend, and just
Better
a
wife?
better wife, and just a better person.
Yeah, and I know you have a wonderful husband.
I have the best husband.
Oh,
Yeah, he's
Life
my
is-
rock.
life is good, huh? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was pretty horrible for 90 days.
But we know that these people that leave the earth, they're our angels, and they want us to live life to its fullest. Don't you think they're cheering us on? I feel it. Yeah.
Absolutely. We set up when Benny died, we set up a foundation, the Benny Goldman Foundation.
Okay.
And
people can
it's,
find that online.
maybe not yet, but they will.
Oh, good.
And it's something we do want to really work on. Of course, we've been a little preoccupied.
And the Benny Goldman Foundation will raise money for?
It raises money for, it's musically oriented, and we give scholarship and music education to students as well as instruments.
How wonderful.
We
See,
just-
every week I have amazing women on that are successful, but the thing I love the most about them is they're paying it forward, and I love that. I love that you're doing that.
And this is a whole family endeavor. We just recently gave a scholarship to one of the Cal State Northridge students.
How
and
wonderful.
It was really wonderful to see how grateful this gentleman was, and just said, it's my desire to make Benny proud.
Oh, I love that. Well, we're going to end on that beautiful note. Keep making a wonderful difference
Thank
and
you.
doing what you're doing.
You are doing a great job. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for inviting me. I
Oh,
really
you bet,
appreciate
Susan.
it.
All right. Make it a great week, everybody. Hugs and happiness. We'll see you next week.